100th President and Master of Ceremonies for tonight's program, Bill Brown.
All right, time to celebrate. Here we go. Thank you very much, Andy. I appreciate that introduction. Kind of reminds me of the Jimmy Fallon sidekick, Steve Higgins. If anybody watches Jimmy Fallon, I think Andy and I could match that up pretty well. But anyway, it's just great to see everybody. We have been waiting for this special occasion for 100 years. So we finally made it. So let's give us all a big hand. That's a big, big deal. And so thank you all for joining us tonight. One little piece of business, as soon as we're done with some of the formal introductions, the wonderful service staff here at the Hotel Mead will be bringing your meal. So keep your place cards right in front of you and make sure you get the proper meal. So we have a great program in store for you tonight. And by the end of the night, I think we will all show increased pride in what it means to be a Rotarian. However, the first order of business is to formally introduce some of our distinguished guests that are with us tonight. So at this point, I'm going to ask some of our distinguished guests to please stand. Please hold your applause until I introduce them all. And we will start off with our past Rotary International General Secretary and keynote speaker, Ed Futa. Ed, please stand. And you can hold your applause because please remain standing, Ed. Followed by our District Governor for 6250, Bill Hole. Bill, please stand. And we also have Ann Futy from District 6220 from our friends from the East, from Clintonville. And so welcome to District 6220. Also, we have past District Governor Tom Marshall with us tonight. Wonderful. Past District Governor Dean McHugh from us, and also past District Governor Joe Ruskey. So, and Assistant District Governor Ben Bauer. So at this point, please stand and give them a round of standing ovation for our distinguished Rotarians with us tonight. Okay. Wonderful. Please be seated. Now, to continue on, we will be recognizing some of our board members, starting with our past club presidents. So if you were past president of the Wisconsin Rapids Noon Club, please stand. And I know Paul Gross is here with us tonight, Michael O'Leary, Linda Bukes-Hammonds, JR, Tom, Maury Matthews, and Brett is over there, Todd Coor in the back, way in the back is there's Guy Dutlison and Ron McCabe. And Susan, it's great to have all of you past presidents here. So let's hear it for the past presidents. Also, I want to recognize our current board president-elect, Sue Sippel. Please stand, Sue. Vice President Matt Ironside. Secretary Kent Anderson will be here in a little bit. Did Kent make it yet? No. Treasurer Terry Jepson, I believe, is coming in a little later. And our fellow board members from the Wisconsin Rapids Noon Club, please stand. And let's hear it for our current president. By the way, I did recruit the board members as my committee for the Centennial celebration. So once again, thank you very much, Jerry, also. So along with these distinguished guests, please welcome our fellow Rotarians, our former Rotarians, our honorary Rotarian Mayor Zach Berwink is coming in a little bit, And State Senator Patrick Teston is here with us tonight. So, and yes, let the program begin. So, formal part of the announcements are over, and I want to, at this point, let's go to the next slide. We have a very special dedication to tonight's members, George Meade and John Seward. The program is dedicated with all due respect and admiration, we dedicate tonight's program in honor of two of our longest serving members, John Seward and George Meade. I will start with a brief bio on John Seward. And John Seward was born to Valentine and Dorothy Seward on February 24th, 1924 in Port Edwards. The Seward family was originally in the grocery business where they sold groceries, meats, and general merchandise here in the Wisconsin Rapids area. John's father, Val, was a longtime member of our Rotary Club. John graduated from Lincoln High School in June of 1941. One of his classmates is here with us tonight, Paul Gross. So a couple of members of the class of 41. That was a very good year for Lincoln High School grads. By December, the United States was in World War II. Everybody who could serve, served, and John enlisted in the Navy in November of 1942. He attended boot camp in Farragut, Idaho, and John was eventually transferred to Bremerton, Washington, where his new ship was being built, and on July 1st, 1943, the USS Satterley was commissioned. John earned the rank of Quartermaster 3C and was on board when the USS Satterley underwent sea trials before escorting the British carrier Victorious through the Panama Canal to Norfolk, Virginia, where they joined the Atlantic Fleet. In May of 1944, they escorted the Texas, Arkansas, and other ships to the British Isles, and on June 5th, 1944, they proceeded into the English Channel to escort minesweepers towards the French coast. On June 6, 1944, the Allied invasion of Normandy and Operation Overlord, D-Day, began. The USS Satterley provided close fire support for the Rangers who were scaling the cliffs at Point du Hoc. They then spent the next 40 days on the Normandy coast defending the beachhead from sea attack. Amazing. By May 8, 1945, or Victory in Europe Day, they were in San Diego for updating their equipment, and then it was off to join the Pacific Fleet. By August of 1945, they had made it to Okinawa, and on August 6, 1945, the United States detonated the first atomic bomb over Hiroshima, Japan, and on August 15, 1945, President Harry S. Truman declared the day as Victory over Japan Day, and World War II was over. And an amazing war record, to say the least, and we're truly honored to have John with us tonight. Upon returning from serving his country in World War II, John enrolled in the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he studied real estate and insurance in the School of Commerce. Graduated in 1950, he took his first job in South Bend, Indiana, as an insurance adjuster. He married Ida Lee Chapetta in February of 1952 and started their family of 5 children with JR that December. Moving back to Wisconsin Rapids in 1954, he joined his father in the Seward businesses. One of John's claims to fame in our club was his unbelievable attendance streak. John's streak of perfect attendance began after he missed receiving an attendance credit on June 9th, 1958. It's over 60 years ago. His streak, exactly, 3 days. But his streak of not missing a Rotary meeting ended in 2014 after 56 years of perfect attendance. So once again, John, this evening is dedicated to you. And George, our second club honoree, George Wilson Meade II, says he was born lucky. No one would dispute that with him. He represents the 4th generation of his family to live in Wisconsin Rapids. And one of his claims to fame is that he is the only member of our Rotary Club whose family has had continuous representation in our club. His grandfather, George I, was a charter member. His father, Stanton, was a member of our club for 60 years, and our George has been a member of our club for 61 years, also making him the 2nd longest current member of the club. John Seward has him beat by at least 2 years. So, aside from his school years, George has been a lifelong resident of central Wisconsin. George left for school out east when he was only 13, but not before spending 1 year at Lincoln High School, which he remembers fondly. After graduating from Yale in 1950, he returned to central Wisconsin to attend graduate school. He earned a master's degree from the Institute of Paper Chemistry in Appleton in 1952, and as destiny would have it, he was tapped to take a job at Consolidated Papers. He says his favorite but toughest job was that of production manager in the Wisconsin Rapids mill. 10 years later, he moved into management, serving as vice president, CEO, and chairman of the board until Consolidated was sold to Stora Enso in 2000. During that time, he also found the time to serve as a Riverview Hospital trustee and co-chairman of the drive which built the new Riverview Hospital for the community in the 1960s. He also followed his great-grandfather, J.D. Witter's footsteps in support of our public library. George was a board member and chair of the library board when the new McMillan Library was constructed and when it opened in 1970. In academics, George served as a trustee at several universities and received honorary doctorates from several as well. In the paper industry, he has been given accolades from almost every technical association and also of the industry's advocacy organizations. Until he was 85, George still skied the Colorado Rockies and rode horseback in the National Forest near his place in Woodland Park, Colorado. And George also continues to chair the Meade Witter Foundation, a philanthropic organization his grandfather began in the 1950s. George has been a member and director of that organization for 56 years. Awesome. Most of all, he loves the Wisconsin River, next to which he has lived and worked nearly his entire life. His family has always been a steadfast advocate for public access to the river for everybody, and through the Meade Witter Foundation, George has directed funding of parks and green spaces along its shores for more than a half a century. So once again, we honor George W. Meade and John Seward at tonight's centennial celebration here for the Rotary Club. So let's hear it for John. I want to thank Susan Feith and J.R. Seward for helping me put those bios together. They're absolutely fabulous. Well done. Thank you very, very much. But it is truly an honor to be in the company of two of the greatest members of the greatest generation who are members of our Rotary Club. So once again, John and George, we're so glad you're here with us. I now call on the Special Needs Scout Troop 105 to present the colors. Please stand.
Attention! Honor guard, color guard, march! Forward, march! guard post colors. Troop salute.
And if for those not in uniform, please put your hand over your heart.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard dismissed.
Color guard dismissed.
Rock.
Thank you very much, Scouts and leaders. We're so glad to have you here tonight. So that was wonderful. Thank you very, very much. Now, Wisconsin Rapids Rotary function would not be right if we didn't do a little singing, right? So I introduce to you Sarah Rifleman, who will lead us in singing America the Beautiful. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you very much. I know y'all want to sing Roll Rotary and a few of the other ones, but in the interest of time tonight, we'll have to postpone those for maybe next week at my swan song. Anyway, at this point, we will please stand for the four-way test. And four-way test of the things we say or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And as the Sunrise Club says, there we go. One for all concerned. I love it. I love it. At this point, I want to invite Jake Close to step up to the podium for our invocation.
Let us pray. Oh, gracious God, we give thanks that we have been able to render 100 years of service above self to our community, state, nation, and world. We give thanks, too, for those who have gone before us in this worthy enterprise, who have served faithfully and with great dedication to our cause. We ask that you will continue to guide us in the future in our continued task of working for peace and understanding through our various exchanges with others around the world. May our quest for a cessation of polio in our world be guided by your healing spirit wherever our quest takes us in the healing of that disease. We would be remiss if we didn't honor the programs that we have engaged in. Many exchange programs, many exchange students have come from foreign lands to Wisconsin Rapids. We have hosted many young people from our own community and given them scholarships. We have been honored and enhanced the lives of others, like our Boy Scout Troop 105, Special Needs Troop. And we have done so many things for which we are grateful. We are especially grateful that you have given us this wonderful connection to one another that provides the possibility that we can do together what we cannot do alone. We give you thanks for the daily sustenance, for all these tasks, and for this gathering and this food. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's eat. Okay. Our wait staff is patiently waiting, make sure everybody's name tags are out. And while you are enjoying your meals, the wonderful staff here at the Hotel Mead will be serving you a piece of our 100th anniversary cake, which was in the lobby. I hope you had a chance to see that. It was beautifully done. So that was nice. Lindsay, let's go. Oh, I just love ringing that bell. Well. How about that staff at the Hotel Mead? Let's give them a big round of applause. Well done. My salmon was perfect. And if there's any complaints, Lindsay is around here somewhere. So just direct them towards Lindsay. Also, I want to thank Andy Barnett for putting together tonight's PowerPoint presentation. So Andy, let's hear it for you for keeping me on script and on time. So, and I also want to acknowledge my lovely wife, Mary, for editing at least 5 pages out of my script yesterday. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. No, I'm just kidding. At this point, I want to bring up our District Governor, Bill Hole from La Crosse. So let's give Bill a round of applause as he makes his way to the podium.
Thank you, Bill. Stick around. Good evening. Great honor and pleasure to be here tonight as your district governor and to help commemorate this century of service. Century, think about that. Before I perform my one duty, President Phil offered me 60 seconds. So here's the question, show of hands. How many people here tonight are not Rotarians? Yet. All right. Well, here's some brand new research, just released, seriously. Brand new study from Johns Hopkins University. Rotary members around the world donate 45 million hours of service a year, valued at $850 million. Who would not want to be a part of doing that much good in the world? Sign up for him right now. All right, President Phil, it is my extreme pleasure in my capacity to present the Wisconsin Rapids Rotary Club with a certificate of appreciation. Not only is it suitable for framing, it's framing. Signed by President Barry Rassin in celebration of 100 years of service to the Rotary world and to the world at large. On behalf of the President, I wish you and your club another century of service.
Oh, wonderful. You still have a few seconds to go. That's wonderful. At this time, I want to introduce our mayor and honorary Rotarian, Mayor Zach Verwink. Zach, where are you? There he is. Hey.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here with all of you, and well done again to all the folks that made this event possible, and to the Mead for their hospitality this evening. It's a great pleasure and honor to present the Rotary Club proclamation. I do a few of these and not as many because they're very special, and so this is a good moment to acknowledge the club. And I'll read it. It states, Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids 100th anniversary. Whereas the Rotary Club of the Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin received its charter from Rotary International on June 17, 1919. And whereas the Rotary Club has enriched this community by observing the Rotary motto, service above self, and has sponsored numerous projects and initiatives and are dedicated to improving the quality of life in our community. And whereas the Rotary Club members demonstrate good character, integrity, and leadership, have a good reputation in their business, profession, and community, and are willing to serve in their community and around the world, and are a superb example of what it means to be a humanitarian. And whereas the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids will officially observe its 100th anniversary with a commemorative banquet on June 17, 2019, here at the Hotel Mead, to be attended by its club's members, guests, and dignitaries. Now therefore, I, Zachary J. Bruing, Mayor of the City of Wisconsin Rapids in the state of Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim June 17, 2019 as Rotary Club Day in the City of Wisconsin Rapids, and further do hereby congratulate the Rotary Club on its 100th anniversary and commend it for its community service. So congratulations.
I love it. Thank you. Let's ring the bell again. Okay, there we go. That poor bell, getting a workout. That's great. Thank you very much, Mayor Bruing. And at this time, I would like to bring to the stage our State Senator, Patrick Teston. So let's give Patrick a hand as he makes his way to the podium.
Well, what a great night.
Yeah.
And congratulations on 100 years of service to this great community. So congratulations, Phil, and to all the Rotarians here, and also to all the dignitaries in attendance. Thank you for your service. It does not go unnoticed. And it is truly remarkable. It's not every day that you get to celebrate a 100-year anniversary. And so this is a momentous occasion, and so we wanted to recognize this milestone achievement and give you some more hardware for the day. And so on behalf of myself and State Representative Scott Krug, who couldn't be here tonight, and the entire Wisconsin State Legislature, we want to offer you a certificate of commendation and congratulations. So whereas the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids was formed on June 17, 1919, and whereas the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids has enriched the Wisconsin Rapids community throughout their many years of service, and whereas the organization is made up of many devoted members who have a collective dedication to the Rotary motto, service above self, and whereas this motto is continuously put into action by the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids through their work helping all those in need, including the community's youth, ill, poor, aged, and more. And whereas the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids has expanded its circle of influence to help those less fortunate around the world through programs facilitated by Rotary International, and whereas the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids has consistently shown that service is their top priority, and whereas the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids has been and continues to be a staple of the Wisconsin Rapids community and is celebrating 100 years of existence. Now, therefore, the members of the Wisconsin State Legislature, on the motion of Senator Patrick Teston and Representative Scott Krug, do commend and honor the outstanding contributions that have been made by the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids to the community and congratulates the club and its members on this momentous centennial. So congratulations.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Senator Teston. And as we move along here, this story has been told since the beginning of Rotary, and on this special occasion of our 100th anniversary, it bears repeating. But in the beginning, it all began with 4 men in Chicago. One winter night in 1905, Paul Harris, an attorney, invited 3 of his friends to his office to discuss organizing a social club. All 4 of these gentlemen were from small towns and found themselves in Chicago with little or no interaction with others. Within a few days of their original meeting, 2 more friends joined them. The name of the organization was suggested by Harris. The name was Rotary, prompted by the original plan of the club members to meet in rotation at their various places of business. So Rotary was born back in 1905 in Chicago, Illinois. Now there are over 1.2 million members in almost 34,000 clubs around the world. Amazing. And when Rotary came to Rapids, thank you, Andy. He's good. When Rotary came to Rapids, literally less than 15 years later, in the spring of 1919, the Rotary Club of Grand Rapids was established by another group of small-town professionals. The community was in the midst of welcoming home soldiers from World War I. The Grand Rapids Brewery was brewing absolutely clear bottled beer right here in Grand Rapids. The First National Bank was 47 years old. George W. Meade, the first, was proposing construction of an electric line through Wood County, and the state was calling for bids to pave the road from Stevens Point to Wausau. That was 100 years ago. The Rotary Club of Wausau, founded 5 years earlier than ours in 1914, was our sponsor. At the time, they had 100 members and about 20 on their waiting list. The institution of the Grand Rapids Rotary Club was completed at the Witter Hotel when about 75 Rotarians from several Wisconsin cities gathered and enjoyed a luncheon and heard Burton E. Nelson, District Governor of the 15th District, outline the purposes of the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club, Mr. Nelson stated, includes one representative from each line of business, thus the beginning of our classification system. The motto of the club is service above self. The original officers of our Rotary Club were Charles Kellogg from the lumber industry, Vice President Guy Babcock, banking, Lacey Horton, flower manufacturing, not the kind of flowers we wear at our lapels, but actual flower manufacturing here in Wisconsin, Rapids, and or Grand Rapids at the time, and our treasurer with Charles E. Bowles, abstracts. Other directors, George W. Meade, print paper manufacturing, Rogers J. Mott, butter manufacturing, and Emery's W. Ellis, wood box manufacturing. Sergeant at Arms was Otto Ranis from the Grand Rapids Foundry. The 25 charter members of the club reads like a virtual who's who, happens to be listed in your program tonight, but it is amazing that the vocational diversity of our members was remarkable, and it still is to this day. But we had Louis M. Alexander from Nacoos Edwards Paper Company. We had Edmund P. Arpin from the Arpin Lumber Company and Arpin Cranberry Company. Theodore W. Barrazo, attorney, and William J. Conway, also an attorney. We had two attorneys at the time of our charter, and Barrazo was given the secretary class of corporation law, corporate law, and Conway was commercial and probate law. We move on to Percival C. Daly, ice and coal dealer. That's pretty cool. And Edna J. Doudna was superintendent of our public schools. Ray Johnson, son of Nels Johnson, one of the organizers of Consolidated Water, Power, and Paper Company, and manager of Johnson and Hill Department Store here in town. Clarence Searles, cranberry grower. Tom Taylor, owner of Taylor and Scott Real Estate and Insurance Company. Tom is also well known for writing an extensive history of Consolidated, and is probably best known for his photo collection that's still in the possession of Macmillan Memorial Library, a classic collection of early Wisconsin Rapids history. Other charter members were a hotel owner, a clothing shop owner, sulfite manufacturer, manager of the public utility, and a physician, and two members of the clergy. So a well-rounded group of Rotarians, the first 25 Rotarians from 25 years ago. As we move on, this is one of my favorite pictures. This is actually a wonderful shot of the Hotel Witter, where we had a majority of our meetings early on. What's interesting, that photo shows what is now Veterans Park. So the Hotel Witter was about the eastern part of the Jackson Street Bridge, and we're looking south or downriver, which is basically Veterans Park, where lunch by the river is usually served. of all the historic archives I've been pawing through for the last couple of years, this is the only logo that I ever found of the Rotary Club of Grand Rapids, Wisconsin. So that's pretty cool. So I'm glad we were able to share that with you today. And now, as we look at our first group photo from 1922, this was taken in front of the former Congregational Church and Masonic Lodge, which is located on 4th Avenue on the west side of town. The area is now occupied about where the Centralia Center is located. And the club was now up to 44 members. And George Meade, T.W. Brazo, Isaac Witter, there's a whole group of fellow businessmen that were part of the Rotary Club in 1922. An absolutely wonderful photo. Now, historic highlights from the past 100 years, and that's where we can give Mary a lot of credit for cutting down my script, because I'm trying to focus on the good things that we did as a club and the good things that our members did for the community. And I like to call these highlights exceptional people doing extraordinary things. And you'll see by some of the historic highlights of what these members have done for our community. For instance, in the 1920s, the Rotarians gave hearty support of changing the name of Grand Rapids, Wisconsin to Wisconsin Rapids. The business community was fed up with a lot of their important mail going over to Grand Rapids, Michigan. So by golly, we're going to change the name of our city, and there was a contest. And apparently the winning name was suggested by a Rotarian. And by pretty good sources, that Rotarian was Isaac Witter. So it became Wisconsin Rapids on August 5th, 1920. And then we had to change our name to the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids. Speaking of Isaac, also in the 1920s, he supported a movement to make Wisconsin Rapids a lilac city. Out of his own funds, he purchased a large number of lilac bushes, which were distributed and planted throughout the city with the help of the local garden club. He also donated a substantial amount of money for improvements of land, which now bears his name, Witter Field. And also in the 20s, Isaac and his brother-in-law, George W. Meade, bought all the buildings on the north side of West Grand Avenue from the bridge, Grand Avenue Bridge, west to 3rd Avenue, where they built the Meade-Witter building and the River Block building. An absolutely beautiful beautification project for our community. At this point, we want to highlight some of our members from 1927. Rotarian Paul Pratt, who had one of the few 16mm cameras in town, made a program out of programming our membership in a setting down by the old swimming pool on 1st Street North. As a matter of fact, the old swimming pool, the old municipal swimming pool, we have one of the former lifeguards here. And also at the table is a fellow former Rotarian who also spent a lot of time in that pool. That was Paul Gross and lifeguard George Meade in the old swimming pool down there. Pretty cool. Now let's see that segment, Andy. Let's go. Everybody can sing along if you know the words. Thank you, Andy, for keeping that short and sweet. 1927. Anyway, that's absolutely wonderful. At this part of the program, I want to invite up my dear friends, Linda Bukes-Hammonds and Tom Marshall, and we want to talk a little bit about their time in our Rotary Club, which is monumental. So, Linda, come on up. Tom, come on up. two of probably the most active members of the club over the past 25 or 30 years or more. And we want to also acknowledge Linda for being our first back-to-back president of the Rotary Club. In 100 years of Rotary, Linda took 2 terms as president. So let's hear it for Linda. But also, not only with your 2 terms, you also have left a huge legacy with your work for the Rotary Youth Exchange movement, so we can't thank you enough on that. So at this point, I'll give you a few words to talk about your time at Rotary.
Yeah, it really is a pleasure just to be in the audience here today. Phil made me come up here, okay? I didn't want to do this part, but now that I'm up here, it was my pleasure to serve 2 terms. I really had such a good time that first year. It was okay to go on and do another year. But it was Rotary Youth Exchange, as you know, that I loved and love. Phil asked for my help in contacting former inbounds to have them do a little video greeting to all of you. And so during the program this evening, you're going to see some videos from former inbounds. And I just want to warn you, those videos are going to go really fast. Really fast, and I don't want you to miss them. A couple of the inbounds were from the 1980s that you may not recognize, but you'll recognize some of them. And so enjoy the greetings from our former inbounds. I wish we could have all hundreds of them that we have had, but enjoy it. I enjoy doing that, and thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. Absolutely wonderful. No, you can't leave yet, Tom. But Tom and I spent a lot of quality time together in his time as a Rotarian of our club. And I was honored to be chair of your district conference back in 2008, 2009.
That's right.
Right here at the Hotel Mead.
That's right.
And we had a good time.
It was a great conference. Probably the best conference in District 6250 ever. And we're thrilled about that. We really are. Even better than last year, Bill. But anyway, this guy right here has done a tremendous job, and we are so indebted to him for bringing us all together to celebrate 100 years. And he's a great guy. He's also a 2-year president, just like Linda was. And I was her campaign chairman both years. So anyway, thanks so much. I served, 35 years as the outbound coordinator in District 6250.
Oh, and a successful program it was. As a matter of fact, when we were extending our invitations out to some of our former Youth Exchange participants, we actually had a volunteer say, I want to come back to Wisconsin Rapids. So all the way from Brazil, we have a very special guest tonight. And I believe Joey is going to introduce. So let's give a big hand to Joey Marshall, Tom's better half.
And Joy is also a Rotarian. She's my favorite Rotarian. And today is also her anniversary, 52 years of marriage to me. So, we're excited. Also, happy anniversary to Mike and Sue
Yes,
for their
I could sue O'Leary.
for their 47th anniversary, right?
Woo!
Anyway, just my Rotarian wife, Joey.
You're my favorite Rotarian too. Yes, 52 years. It's amazing. You really get to know a person. 52 years. Oh. Well, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce Cecilia Sanchez. Sylvia. I think I got her last name wrong because she's just been married since April 6th. So she has brought her handsome husband along, Kiko, and I know she's going to introduce him and tell you a little bit about him. But it's my job to introduce our wonderful exchange daughter. I just can't tell you enough how much she has meant to our family. She is beautiful, talented, generous, loving, woman now. She was just a girl when she came. In fact, it was her birthday 4 days after she got here, and we threw a party for her, inviting young people that we thought that she would get to know in high school and in our neighborhood. And I hope you aren't embarrassed that I tell you this, but I put no gifts on, as most of you put on your graduation things and birthday parties. And when Cecilia saw that, she said, "What? No gifts?" I would like some gifts. So I called back and everybody brought some gifts, and so we had a really good time. And I also have to tell you that she is very loving and kind, and I came from a very stoic German family where we didn't hug and kiss a lot. We all knew we loved each other, but we didn't say it a lot. And so here comes Cecilia, our Brazilian daughter, with so much exuberance and love, and came in hugging and kissing, and all of a sudden we were hugging and kissing. It was so wonderful. And generous, yes, very generous. And so generous that Cecilia has brought along candy from Brazil for all of you to try. And it should be in here now next to the bar. Yes, I guess it is. And so please try some Brazilian candy because it is delicious. So, Cecilia, would you please come forward? Yes. I just love you so much. Cecilia came back just for this, so here she is.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. This was a long trip. I just arrived this morning. But I'm so glad to be here and very happy. And I know some of you. And I was an exchange student here in 2001 and from 2002. And I had a blast, the best year of my life. And now I'm so glad that Kiko brought me here. Sorry. He knows how much this is special to me. You know, Tom, Joey, Marshall, and Ann knows. They know how much this is special to me. And I'm going to play some video because I knew this is gonna happen. And I'm very thankful because I work with tourism, so I speak a little bit English and Spanish and French because I studied in Lincoln High School. And I still working with tourism City Hall. My city is Salvador, Brazil, in northeast of Brazil. And I built a hotel with my sisters when I left Wisconsin. That was a lot of work. It took us 10 years to build and to rent the hotel, and we sold 5 years ago. And we still have the lodge in west center of Brazil, Mato Grosso, and I just put some brochures there, so you're welcome to go and visit us in Salvador or Mato Grosso. Okay? Yeah, that's all. I still have my jacket, I'm so proud.
Cecilia. And it really goes to show how those relationships that started with a Rotary Youth Exchange literally last a lifetime. And our club has had such a rich history of youth exchange. And it's my hope tonight that we can hopefully rekindle that spirit. And with the help of our Sunrise Club, I think we can do it. I think we can bring some kids back to right in here to Wisconsin Rapids area, and hopefully send a few kids out to see the world. As we always say about youth exchange, if more kids participated in it, I think the world would be a better place. So Cecilia, thank you very, very much for your kind words. Great memories. At this point, I have a couple more congratulatory notes from some of our inbounds. First of all, Linda Cantor from Zimbabwe.
Greetings everybody from beautiful Cape Town, South Africa. My name is Linda Cantor, and in 1986 I had the privilege of being an exchange student in Wisconsin Rapids, and it still stands out in my life as one of the most profound and powerful years I've ever had, and I'll never forget that year. In fact, I really think that year helped me come out of my shell. And when I returned to my homeland, which was then Zimbabwe, my parents couldn't believe that it was the same person. So I work now in Cape Town as a psychologist, and I'm passionate about what I do. My main area is to teach mindfulness, and I really think that confidence that I have in sharing my work, it's all started with that year in Wisconsin. So much love to everybody, good luck. I wish I could be there. My thoughts will be with you all over this celebratory time, and I wish you all very well.
And all the way from South Africa, Robin Pierce.
Greetings and very warmest of congratulations from sunny South Africa. My name is Robin Pierce. You won't recognize me without all the hair I had way back. I spent a miraculous year in your amazing community. I remember taking the first flight of my life to land in the first snow of my life, only to be met by Helen Youngworth, who ran out onto the airstrip holding one of the jackets of one of her sons. I was very fortunate to live in the lovely Youngworth home, as well as in the homes of the lovely McGraw and Seward families, and of course to meet many of you. It was a life-changing year full of new experiences, ice fishing, skiing, American sports like wrestling, football, basketball, baseball, and of course lots of fun at Lincoln High School, proms, dating, partying, all of those great things, and also of course traveling around the lovely state, and there are many states with many inbounds from other countries. I think I met people from more than 100 countries during that year. And of course, that was very inspirational for the rest of my life. I now live in Sandton, near Johannesburg in South Africa. I'm what you would call a trial lawyer. I'm married to a wonderful woman who I met a few months after leaving Wisconsin. We have 3 children. And if you'd like to catch up with us a little bit, look out for us on Facebook. Thank you once again for a truly life-changing year, and everything of the best to all of you and to the club. Bye-bye.
Boy, unreal. JR, too? What do you think? Rob and Carol? I think he could be the next James Bond. Pretty classy guy. Absolutely wonderful. But thank you, Robin, and thank you, Linda, for checking in with us all the way from Africa. At this point, one of my favorite photos of our Rotary Club goes back to August of 1930. They're sitting in front of the newly renovated Hotel Witter. And it's just absolutely a wonderful posed picture. And once again, some of our most distinguished businessmen from the Wisconsin Rapids at the time. It is just truly a remarkable group of men. And it is just a joy to see that their club is still going strong. And also we have more highlights of the exceptional people doing extraordinary things. So during the depths of the Great Depression, great things were accomplished by our organization. The Youth Service Committee raised funds to assist Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts in a door-to-door canvass of residences and businesses. And they raised close to $2,200 in 36 and $1,700 in 1935. Tremendous amount of money in those days, but it went to a very good cause for the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Oh, and by the way, the price of our meals at the Hotel Witter was raised from 65 cents to 75 cents. Can you believe that? Boy, I imagine there were a few people protesting that one. And also, our very own district governor, our first district governor from our club, A.D. Hill, hosted the district conference in 1940 that was held at the Wisconsin Theater, one of Paul's former employers, and Lincoln High School Auditorium. And while we celebrated, I hate to say celebrate, but as we commemorated our 25th anniversary of our Rotary Club in May of 1944, John Seward was on his way to Europe in preparation for D-Day. By the way, John just returned last week from Normandy, where he helped to commemorate the 75th anniversary of D-Day. So once again, John, 75 years. Thank you once again for your service. We really, really appreciate you being here tonight. Also, at this point, in 1944, our Youth Service Committee established a procedure of inviting Lincoln High School seniors to be known as Youth Rotars. And look at the way we used to spell Youth Rotars, U-T-H-R-O-T-A-R-S. We did change that to Youth Rotars, but anyway, I always enjoy that spelling. It's kind of funny. So also, this program now includes seniors from Nakusa, Port Edwards, and Assumption High School. A great tradition every month when we greet another group of high school seniors. At this point, I want to bring Tom Marshall back to the stage, and we want to talk about another successful part of our youth exchange program, and those were the kids that were going outbound. So come on up, Tom. Let's give them another round of applause.
Oh, thanks so much. You get old, I guess. Anyway, I need to say, I was here a couple of months ago to help celebrate Bob Zimmerman.
Oh, yeah, a couple of years ago.
And I came into the Rotary Club meeting, and George Meade grabbed me and says, "Tom, welcome home." And he did the same thing tonight. It brought tears to my eyes. So this is a home for us. There's no question about that. We love rapids. Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce one of our outbounds from many years ago, one of my former students at Lincoln High School, Janine Springer O'Rourke. Janine is a graduate of Lincoln High School, and she was an exchange student in '85 to Japan. She attended the University of Wisconsin and graduated in 1991 with a double major in business and Japanese with emphasis on international marketing. She was a member of the Rotary Club at the university and spent a year in Osaka University of Foreign Studies on scholarship with the Japanese Ministry of Education. She currently resides in Stoughton, Wisconsin, with her husband of 27 years and her two kids, Ethan, and Maya, who just graduated from high school. She has worked for Thermo Fisher Scientific in various marketing roles for 20 years and is currently a senior manager for emerging markets. And she visits regularly to Asia, Latin America, and Europe to support her global staff. In 2010, she joined Rotary as a member of the Fitchburg Rotary Club. In 2011, and became director of the district's 6250 short-term Rotary Exchange Program. She has been the chairman of that program for 8 years and has sent over 90 students to foreign countries. She's now a member of the Downtown Rotary Club in Madison, the largest club in our district. She has traveled to Guatemala in support of a clean water project and to Brazil with her husband on Rotary Friendship Exchange. She has traveled to over 40 countries in every continent except Antarctica. However, she continues to tell me that her bucket list is not the countries that she went to, but of the people she has touched through her experiences around the world. Please welcome Janine Springer O'Rourke, one of our finest outcomes. Janine.
Thank you, Dr. Marshall.
You are very welcome.
Good evening. In 1984, your club decided to support yet another exchange student and all that goes along with that. Can I see a show of hands of the members of this club in 1984? Thank you. You made it possible for this 16-year-old to travel to central Japan and expand her horizons in a way that made a positive impact, becoming culturally sensitive, open to alternative ways of thinking, and committed to service above self. But do you realize the full reach of your investment? In impacting me, you enabled me to impact so many more. Kohei, Minani Kohei ka, is it fair to all concerned? Takada Sensei was a Japanese teaching assistant at the UW-Madison. Mid-20s, male, little awkward. He tried hard to reinforce the professor's lessons to a class of enthusiastic freshmen. One lesson, he called on me and a male student to role-play a conversation between a flight attendant and a pilot. I responded saying I'd be happy to as long as I had the role of pilot. A bit shocked and embarrassed, he agreed. At the end of the semester, he invited me out for coffee and thanked me for opening his eyes to the stereotypes common within his culture and how my small act had enabled him to become a better teacher. Koi to yujo o fukameru ka will build goodwill and better friendship. At Thermo Fisher Scientific, I found my niche with the emerging markets. Growth in South America enabled me to hire a marketing manager in Brazil. The first few years, Marcelo struggled to gain respect of our colleagues in the US and Europe. Why wasn't Marcelo timely with processing the invoices? Why did Marcelo challenge the readiness of a new product launch when the material was only available in English? I played an active role in coaching him in expectations of his US and European colleagues, and an equally active role in helping those colleagues understand the challenges Marcelo faced working in a startup office in Sao Paulo. This February, I beamed with pride as he was called to the stage by our division president and awarded the company's highest recognition for marketing innovation. Shinjutsu kadoka, is it the truth? In our Pune office in India, Nana had successfully managed our marketing programs for over 5 years, and she was well respected by her sales team. So I was surprised when she called me in tears, letting me know she was submitting her letter of resignation. The local HR manager had served her notice that beginning in 2 weeks, she would begin reporting to the Mumbai office. Imagine if your HR manager told you tomorrow that you'd start reporting to your Chicago office from July 1st. I contacted her local HR team. I argued the legitimacy of their request, proposed alternative solutions, and in the end, I escalated it to our Boston headquarters, where the unethical situation was finally squelched. I received backlash and a setback to my career. Years later, my suspicions were confirmed when I learned that it was the means to closing the office down. Well, not if I can help it. Today, Nana continues to manage our programs in India and helped our team there achieve 15% growth last year. Mina no tame ni naru kadoka, will it be beneficial to all concerned? The best way to thank Rotary, and my host families from 35 years ago has been to pay it forward. That is my driver in serving as chair of the district STEP program. It is also one reason our family has hosted many exchange students through the years. Letty, a 16-year-old girl from Madrid, came to us recovering from anorexia. 3 years later, I met Letty, my Spanish daughter, in Spain during a business trip. I was delighted to see her so healthy, physically and mentally. She shared with me that her time in our home with an accepting and supportive family, something she didn't have in her home in Spain, was the motivation that helped her conquer her illness. These are only a few of the people that you have reached through me, but through your commitment to youth exchange and to service above self. So thank you for the opportunity you gave me 35 years ago. It changed my world, and I'm doing the best I can to change the world of others.
Thank you, Janine. That was wonderful. What an impact she has had through her work on the world. Just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We have another outstanding outbound, a former outbound. Laura Bukes-Hammonds was one of my students when I was a counselor at Lincoln High School. So was Janine. That's why they're so successful. Wonderful young lady. And another reason why she was so successful is, like I said, because I was her counselor. She decided to join our Rotary Youth Exchange program as one of the all-time greats in the program. She went to Brazil in 2001 and 2002 and enjoyed it so much that she wanted to go on another exchange and then went to Mexico for the 2003-2004 year. We called her a yo-yo. She went back and forth. She loved helping people in different parts of the world so much that she became a Peace Corps volunteer in Guatemala from 2011 to 2013. She then went to nursing school at the University of Minnesota and is currently a nurse in the maternity unit in St. Cloud. Please welcome Laura Bukes-Hammonds, one of our all-time great Rotary Youth Exchange students.
Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate it. I honestly could talk for seriously several hours about youth exchange, but again, we've heard it from many people, and I'll just continue on with everything that's been said before. But so I have a list of 5 things of how youth exchange has helped me in my life and going forward. First of all, to begin with, I was 16 years old. And I had my bags packed. I was ready to go. Not to, that was fun. But so my suitcases were in the car, and I was saying goodbye to my dog, my cat, and all of a sudden I was in my room and I just started crying. I was just like, and I said to my mom and dad, I said, Mom, Dad, I don't want to go. And those 5 words could have changed my life completely. Those 5 words, if I had taken it seriously, if my parents had taken it seriously and said, okay, well, here we have faith, your flight is ready to go in a few hours. If you don't want to go, you don't have to. But my mom said, Laura, maybe it's hard to go. And I said, yeah, actually, it really is hard to go. But I thank you so much, Mom and Dad, for putting me on that plane and helping me to actually go and do that. Again, it was just a wonderful, wonderful year that I had. So 5 ways that it's currently impacted my life is my current job. For example, if I hadn't done youth exchange, I probably wouldn't have done the Peace Corps. If I hadn't done the Peace Corps, I probably wouldn't have found my love for nursing. I then received a full scholarship when I went to nursing school called the Nurse Corps Scholarship, where I was able to, where I had to work for 2 years in an underserved area, and that's where I have been for the last 3 years in St. Cloud, Minnesota. And if I hadn't done, hadn't had that experience of being in an underserved areas in Brazil and Mexico, I may have not been where, or may have not ended up where I am now. Also, I travel at any time I can. Honestly, so I work 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts. Sometimes I do back-to-back. Sometimes I do 4 or 5 days in a row, and I have 7, 8 days off. And my parents never know where I'm going to go next. They always have to ask, Laura, what are you going to do next? Where are you going? Because I've been to 28 countries so far. That means I'm going to still keep going. Yeah, I actually just got off a plane this morning from Houston. I was down at a wedding in College Station from one of my best friends from Guatemala. Moved to the United States a few months ago, and I went to her wedding. And last year I went to, I had a month off of work, and I ended up going to China, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Australia, all in that month, all by myself. Just kind of like, okay, and 1 week prior to that trip, I had nothing booked besides my flight in and out of China. It was just kind of a thing like, okay, I can do this. So the third thing is that I'm definitely self-sufficient. That definitely helps. I definitely learned that from being an exchange student. I don't wait for anyone. You know, if I put my mind to it, I'm going to do it, and I will. So this summer I'm backpacking through the Superior Hiking Trail up in northern Minnesota. Sometimes I'm going to have people to go with, sometimes I won't, but that doesn't matter. I just will be able to hike the entire thing and just put my mind to whatever I want to do. Also, the in quotations, someday doesn't exist in my vocabulary together. Once I put my mind to it, my bucket list is like very small because I go and do things, which definitely has been, Rotary has been an impact in that. Also, last is I learned the importance of service above self. As you know, as Rotarians, I was a Rotarian for a few months before I went to the Peace Corps, but I definitely learned that from an early age of how just the impact of service above self can really make a difference in the world. I really want to thank everyone so much for sponsoring me twice. It was a great honor to be a yo-yo and to have that experience of being an exchange student twice. So congratulations on 100 years. Really appreciate it.
That was great. That's wonderful. Thanks, Bill.
That's wonderful that we had influence in changing a young person's life. So thank you, Janine, very much for those words, and thank you, Laura, for sharing that as well. At this point, we want to bring up a couple more. Actually, no, we have a special message coming from greetings from Chris Duckert Harrington from the Colorado Rockies. Chris was a past president of our club and also past district governor, and we have a few words from Chris. So let's roll.
Good evening, Rotarians, visiting Rotarians and guests, family members, and a special greeting to you, Governor Bill and President Phil, and our past General Secretary, Mr. Futa. I send warm greetings this evening from the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. We've called this home for 5 years now. We're loving it out here, it's lovely. But I really want to share with you my gratitude to have had the opportunities to not only host wonderful kids from around the world. We hosted 5 students, exchange students, while I was in Rapids. And I know it has definitely changed my boys' lives and certainly changed my own life, having opportunities that Rotary provided. So I send my deep gratitude and congratulations to all of you. I miss you and wish I could be there with you this evening, but have a wonderful evening, and thank you again for the honor to have been able to serve as your governor in 2010 and 11. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And as we move on is another one of my favorite photos of our Rotary Club, and that's right here at the Hotel Meade. The date was June 27, 1951. It was the first meeting held in the brand new Hotel Meade. And a week prior to that, we were one of the last groups to meet at the old Hotel Witter. So we just moved a couple blocks away to the brand new Hotel Meade. And this is another one of our distinguished Rotarians. And it's just great to see all these men, including Stanton Meade in there, T.W. Brazo, Doc Pamainville, FX Pamainville was in there. Just a real wonderful group of Rotarians from 1951, opening the Hotel Meade, and we've been here ever since. So it's absolutely wonderful to keep the tradition going. Back in the 1950s, we supported some of the Welcome to Wisconsin Rapids signs. We also, on June 15, 1959, our 40th anniversary was celebrated here at the Hotel Meade, and we honored two of our living charter members, Theodore W. Brazo and George W. Meade. And our very own district governor at the time, Lee Barker, hosted the 1960 district conference at the brand new John E. Alexander Southwood County's YMCA in Port Edwards. And as we move on to the photo of 1964, I want to point out this distinguished group of businessmen in their dark gray suits. 64, apparently that was the time for dark gray suits. As we move forward, you'll be noticing some of the changes in the, if you could go back one, Andy, if you'll be noticing some of the more casual attire as we move on. But right in the middle, there's a woman, and that's Emma, or M. Plesac. She was our piano player for many, many years and was honored with a Paul Harris Award. But M. Plesac was the spouse of Rotarian Jim Plesac. And so anyway, we have some more highlights of exceptional people doing extraordinary things. For instance, at the time, fellow Rotarians George Meade and Sam Casey were the co-chairman of the Riverview Hospital Board of Directors to head a campaign to raise $2.1 million of the $4 million required for a new hospital. And the new Riverview Hospital on Dewey Street was dedicated on April 1st, 1967. Amazing. And amazing when you think about a $4 million hospital, they just did a $25 to $30 million renovation. So anyways, times have changed a little bit. 1965, a group of Rotarians led by Richard Brazo and Leland Jens began a program planting hopa trees, or flowering crabapple trees, to beautify the riverbanks and parks of our city. Funds were raised from selling these trees, benefited the Riverview Hospital Auxiliary, and at the time, I believe Ida Lee Seward was probably the president of the auxiliary and a strong promoter of the beautification of Wisconsin Rapids, and in promoting Wisconsin Rapids as the hopa tree capital of the world. And we're very proud to have Ida Lee's sister here today. So Ginny, good to have you aboard. Striking resemblance to And also in the back to the 60s, our very own Leland Jens hosted the 1967 district conference at Assumption High School. And in 1969, the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids Foundation was founded. So Ahmad Musalam, Dan Guck have continued the tradition of raising funds for our foundation, but that was established back in 1969. So these two gentlemen deserve credit for keeping that fund drive going every year. So thank you all very much, Dan and of course Ahmad. And then here we go. In June of 1969, a daughter of Earl Garber and sons of John Seward, Red Carlson, and Dane Dahl left for Aguas Calientes, Mexico, located in north central Mexico. I've been working on that for a while. But anyway, where they stayed for 6 weeks at the home of Rotarians there. This is the continuation of the youth exchange program initiated originally by Dane Dahl when he was club president in 1966-67. So that rich history of Rotary Youth Exchange goes back to the mid-60s. And on June 22nd, 1969, we celebrated our 50th anniversary with a party held out at Bullseye Country Club. And here we are 50 years later celebrating our 100th, and it is now time to continue to celebrate exceptional people doing extraordinary things. So it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Ed Futa. Ed has served Rotary for many, many years, and over a decade he managed Rotary as General Secretary of our organization. He oversaw the nearly 700 staffers in Evanston and around the world. He comes from the Rotary Club of Honolulu, Hawaii, where he was president of an international marketing consulting firm. After serving as our chief operating officer, Ed became the dean or chair of the Rotary Representative Network. These are 31 people, including 2 youth representatives, who represent us at the highest levels in the world. They are unofficial ambassadors to the United Nations, the World Bank, the World Food Program, the African Union, and the European Union, to name a few. This past year, Ed cut back his duties a little bit. Now he is just one of our ambassadors to the United Nations. Pretty amazing. And our district now has the good fortune to call Ed Futa one of our district Rotarians, because Ed has moved to Madison in District 6250. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Wisconsin Rapids welcome to Ed Futa.
Good evening, everyone. Of all of the centennial celebrations that I've been privileged to attend and to help celebrate, this is the latest one. But also, folks, this is one of the most energetic of 100 or centennial celebrations that I've had the privilege of attending, and I've attended a lot, and there's more coming as we age in Rotary. But it is so exciting because you are given an overview, and I'm sure your wife cut a lot of pages out of that, and thank God she did. But, folks, it is an overview. She kept some of the highlights of club activities, but you don't just take them off, this club activity, this club activity. Get the feel of what the club means to the community. That's what counts, folks, is 100 years. If you're 100 years and you mean nothing to the community, then you've wasted 100 years. But look at what this club has done to and with and for the community of Wisconsin Rapids. Is this a good community to live in, folks? Those of you that live, is it a good community? It's a good community. And Rotary being 100 years in this community is one reason. I'm not saying it's the only reason. Yeah, one of the only reasons, I can say. But it's one reason why this is a dynamic, a happening community. I read, is the Lord Mayor still here? He had to leave. Oh. In the hotel room, there's a like a tourist information thing, and it gives a brief history of Wisconsin Rapids, written by the mayor, or written for the mayor to say that he wrote it. But it tells, you know, Wisconsin Rapids, he says, is an all-around city. I mean, all seasons you can do something. Something's going on here. And also I know that Wisconsin Rapids history has been somewhat up and down because of the fortunes or misfortunes of an industry, lumber or pulp or whatever you want to call it, has affected this community. But the thread of Rotary for the last 100 years that runs through this community has helped to elevate it, has helped this community to hold its head up high and continue on. And continue on you did, as we see in some of these. Thank you for not editing out the very good parts. As you see in some of these really exciting, energizing programs that your club has been responsible for. You know, when I, as the CEO of Rotary, when I get asked to speak about Rotary, they ask me about, you know, the big picture in Rotary. But, you know, the big picture in Rotary is nothing without looking at each of the 35,000 plus Rotary clubs. Because, folks, the Rotary Club, small or large, is where the rubber meets the road. Rotary happens in the Rotary clubs. Please do not go to Evanston, Illinois, the Secretariat or the World Headquarters of Rotary, and expect to see Rotary in action. You won't see Rotary in action there. You'll see Rotary in action here, in the communities, in the 35,000 plus communities around the world. And this is why we can celebrate, proudly so, 100 years. Because, folks, guess what? We work. Rotary works because of the clubs. You know, on your Rotary pin, it says 2 words. What 2 words does it say? The pin, if you forgot what 2 words are on your Rotary pin. Look at it. I see plenty. Rotary International. Guess what? Rotary International is an organization made up of autonomous member clubs. You and I are not members of Rotary International as Rotarians. We are members of the Rotary Club of whatever, Wisconsin Rapids. I happen to be a member of the Rotary Club of East Honolulu in Honolulu, Hawaii. Now, the Rotary Club of East Honolulu and the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids are members of Rotary International, the Association of Clubs. So your club is a member of Rotary International, you and I. You are a member proudly of the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids, those of you that are members. Those of you that raised your hand earlier saying that you're not a Rotarian, do you have the membership sign up? Yeah. See the president. Because, why? Why do some gentlemen stay in Rotary for such a long time? Is it boring? Does it rob you of energy? No. They stay because it works. They stay because they see they're committed to their communities and they see how Rotary, the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids, works for the city of Wisconsin Rapids. That's why they stay. Otherwise, you should join Lions or something else, you know? But Rotary works, folks. And I've seen it. But, you know, as I said, people look at Rotary International and say, oh my goodness, you know, that's where it all happens. In a pig's eye, it happens at Rotary International. If it doesn't happen in the Rotary clubs, it won't happen in Rotary. Guess where polio, our biggest project, started from? It started from one club in the Philippines. One club in the Philippines. The next project of Rotary International will not be thought up by the board of directors of Rotary International. It'll come from one of our clubs. So you better start thinking of what project you want to bring forward. Because true, we work because we work bottoms up. It wouldn't work the other way around. You know, and I represent you, and I have for a while, at the United Nations. Rotary International, as you know, is given an extraordinary privilege in that we have a permanent representative seat at the United Nations. Why? Because 52 of our members of Rotary Club number 2, who knows what Rotary Club number 2 is? Who knows what Rotary Club number 1 is? Chicago. Number 2, San Francisco. You're right. San Francisco is the second Rotary Club number 2. It's still in existence now. Chicago is still in existence now. It's awesome. I'm happy to report. I'm going to digress. You said that, gave the history of Rotary. It was founded in Chicago by an attorney and 4 friends. It was founded because of fellowship. Fellowship, In those days, attorneys were lonely people. Maybe today, attorneys are still lonely people, but they needed friends. And so, Paul Harris founded it for fellowship. That's why he had the classification system, so that it wouldn't be dominated by all attorneys or a club, or all bankers, or all insurance. There was a classification so that you could enrich each other by your vocation or occupation or calling. And it happened quite nicely. Rotary Club number 2 had 52 members, actual Rotarian members, who sat on various committees that eventually wrote and helped write, many of them were attorneys too, helped write the Charter of the United Nations that, as you know, was founded in San Francisco. If you go there, right by the City Hall, that City Hall Square, you'll see a plaque that says, United Nations founded here in this spot or this area. So because of that, we were given honorarily, but we still take it anyway. We were given a permanent observer status seat as an NGO. What is an NGO? Non-government organization. So we have the highest certification of an NGO at the United Nations because of our history and our partnership with the United Nations. But this year will be the 75th anniversary of our partnership with the United Nations. It will be celebrated in Honolulu, Hawaii. And we're going to have a special day there to commemorate this very momentous event. And we're going to have also several United Nations days, one in November in New York City at the United Nations itself, one in Rome at United Nations Food Organization, one in Paris, one in Santiago, and finally culminating in a grand celebration at our next international convention in Honolulu, Hawaii, a Friday before the convention starts. So please attend any one of these or all of these if you can. It'll be printed out shortly in the magazine, or come to Hawaii. Hawaii is a good place to celebrate, by the way. How many people have been to Hawaii? My goodness. It's a good chance to come back again. How many people know any Hawaiian words? Aloha. What does it mean?
Hello, goodbye.
What? It means both hello and goodbye? Those Hawaiians are confused people. They don't know whether they're coming or going. Actually, it does. Because the word in Hawaiian is pronounced aloha, and it's expelling your breath. Because to the Hawaiians, it signified, may the breath of God from your very soul be blown out and gently rests on your shoulder and bless you. That's what aloha means. Aloha is supposed to represent, in the Hawaiian thinking when they invented that word, the breath of the Almighty God blessing you, resting on your shoulders, gently blessing you with grace. So it means hello, aloha, goodbye, aloha, I love you, aloha. So I just thought I'd teach you something tonight that you can keep. Where was I? I should get back to being serious now. Bad chance of that. All right, I was talking about the smaller picture. You know, when working at the United Nations, I had I was asked by then Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to preside at one of these table discussions at lunch, and at my table was the former president of Chile, Madame Bachelet, who is now the assistant secretary in charge of human rights in Geneva. She was the president of Chile, and she said, "Oh, I know Rotary very well. In fact, I'm a Paul Harris Fellow. I was a real Rotarian when I was a doctor, MD, in Santiago, Chile, before she became president." She said, "I had to resign from my club because this job didn't allow me to keep making up." So she was there, and then on this other side was a military guy from Uganda. Must be military because I had all this brass and braids on his shoulder and stuff like that. And in back of him was I assumed was his guard. He was the president, some not Uganda, but some country near there. And so I was nervous, and he said, "Oh, I was a Rotarian also." I said, "Well, you know," he kept getting on his phone. I said, "Are you in trouble? Is your country having a coup or something like that?" He said, "No, why? Do you know something?" I said, "Well, you keep on getting on your phone and your God is right here and stuff like that." I said, "Should I move? I'm getting nervous here, sitting next to you." He said, "No, don't worry." He said, "You know, we Rotarians take care of each other." I said, "Well, remember that. Rotary is a great organization." But, you see, I was asked to chair this high level. There was also Princess of Spain or something else at my table, because the United Nations recognizes Rotary because Rotary works. The Secretary General, you know, the key phrase in the United Nations is sustainable development. Sustainable development. In other words, the United Nations, you know, they're used to having their programs and go in there, do the programs, come out, and the programs collapse. But not in Rotary. Not in Rotary. Rotary is the essence of sustainable development. If you give a Rotary Club a project, it'll be maintained throughout the life of the project and beyond for the good of the community. Boy, the president is watching his watch, so I better cut it short. I got a lot of stories, folks, but I could go on forever. So, I will not cut it too short, but really, we are recognized and we are asked to sit at the front table at these international meetings such as the United Nations because of one thing. I'll tell you. It's not because of our youth exchange, et cetera, great though those programs may be. It's one thing. It's our polio eradication campaign. Everyone knows us for polio. Prior to polio, just let me know the time again. Prior to polio, the most effective service organization was recognized as Lions. Why Lions, you say? Why Lions? Because Lions could be identified with a certain project. And what was that project? Glasses. And because of that, Rotary was known for everything. If you're known for everything, youth exchange, scholarships, all these other programs we had, if you're known for everything, you're not remembered for anything. Really. Until polio came along. Because of polio, we are now asked to sit at the head table, not the children's table in the back of the room anymore. We are asked to sit there. I told you about sustainable development, and polio is one of them. When we entered the fight for eradication of polio, there was 1,000 new cases of polio every day. So far this year now, we have, 7? Or what do we have? 8? I don't know. Bill is going to look it up for me. But it's a far number from 1,000 cases a day at your district. How many people went to your district conference? Next time, more of you should go. Because it was, where this district owns an iron lung, I think, or could borrow an iron lung, it makes a tremendous impact visually about this drastic disease. So, I was talking about sustainability, and I was talking about the small picture. I had a friend when I lived in Chicago who lived right next door to me, and he and his wife were the co-anchors of the Channel 2 news in Chicago, evening news, weekend evening news. Sylvia Gomez and John Duncanson. Well, John and I were talking, and he got sent by all of the Chicago TV networks after the tsunami hit in Banda Aceh. He got sent to send all the reports back, the TV reports. And it just so happened that next Christmas after that happened around Christmas time. So the next December, they sent him back as a human interest, as a follow-up to see what happened 1 year after the devastating tsunami hit Banda Aceh. And he was talking to me over the fence, and he said, Ed, what amazes me is that when I first went there, there was all this excitement and energy, and all of the helping agencies, the Red Cross and the Red Crescent, and they all had their big banners all over town saying that we're here to help you, et cetera, et cetera. When I went back for a follow-up a year later, the only thing I saw was a banner that said, the Rotary Club of Banda Aceh meets here Tuesdays at 12 noon. All the rest, including the Red Cross and the Red Crescent, the banners were taken down. And he said, what is going on, Ed? And I said, well, John, guess what? All the people came, they helped, and they went home. The Rotary Club of Pandachi lives there. That's our home. They're not going anywhere. He said, that's an amazing story. I said, no, that's an amazing truth. And that's why sustainability is in our DNA. That's why the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funnels its funds through us to eradicate polio. I don't know if you know it, you probably don't because we don't print these things, but there was a 3-week gap in the funding several years ago when I was still General Secretary of WHO in the polio program. And Bill had the money, and Bill wanted to fund this. It's, you know, you just lend them and they'll pay it back as soon as they get their funding, which was already approved. But what he did was he said, you know, I'm going to send it through Rotary because Rotary is who I trust. And so he sent it through Rotary. We funded that gap and we got the money back, of course. But you see, that's what works, is our reputation. So, you know, sometimes when we come to a Rotary meeting and we recite the full weight test and we think, yeah, it's the full weight test. But is it the truth? Is what people depend upon us as Rotarians, you know? So please, as you're celebrating, there's lots to celebrate. There's energy, there's life. As you're celebrating, please think about how you impact the community, how you build this community into what it is right now. And so please don't think about this as, you know, we're not Rotary International, we can't do all these grand things. But you are the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids, and you can do more than we at Rotary International can do, believe me. I'm going to give you one more story on the small picture. You know, I have a great friend who lives in Seattle, in the islands there, sort of a posh community, Vashon Island in the Seattle archipelago. And Mark, he came home one night quite exhausted. He's a like a speaker. He gives motivational seminars. He came back absolutely exhausted and drained, and all he wanted to do was come home and kick back and watch TV and just zone out. But as he came in the door, he was immediately accosted by his two twin sons, younger boys, and he was trying to get to the kitchen, and they tackled him and wrestled with him, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He didn't remember this, but 3 years later, he sat his two sons down, and he said, "Do you think Dad loves you?" They were embarrassed. "Oh, shucks, Dad, of course we know you love you. You love us." "Well, how do you know?" He kept pushing it. When you push things like that with younger boys, you don't know, you might get backfired. And he said, "Oh, shucks." He thought, "Oh my goodness, we just came back 2 months ago from Disneyland, Disney World in Orlando, Florida." They're going to say, "Oh, shucks, Dad, I know you love us because you took us to Disney World." They didn't say that. "I know you love us because you wrestled with us." And he had forgotten that that's what happened one night 2 years earlier. He was thinking, like most of us think, about the big things, you know, the Disney World and all these the fireworks and all the things, large things. And he almost missed life happening simply, daily, in the interaction and love between a parent and child. It really threw him for a loop. He learned a tremendous life's lesson from these two youngsters. That's what we need to learn, folks, is the essence of life takes place right here. It's not the history of our grand organization. It is what we do every day in our community, how we live in our community that really counts, that really matters, that really makes a 100-year celebration a real energizing, important milestone, not only for the club, but for the community. And I'm gonna end, I love it when some places have, in front of the podium, they have a countdown clock. And you know, I ignore it. They have it there. You know, several weeks ago, I read in the New York Times that I saw a photo of two young boys, 6 and 10 years old, lying in a gruesome concrete basement in a hospital basement, waiting to die of starvation. And they died 3 days after the picture was taken. In a hospital in Venezuela. You know what's going on in Venezuela. And I have to ask myself, you know, Venezuela at one time was the richest per capita country in Latin America because of their tremendous oil reserves. What in the world happened? We still have Rotary clubs in Venezuela. What in the world happened? I'll tell you what happened. The people stopped looking at their community as communities of individual people, caring for each other, concerned about each other. This is what happened. This is what happened in Venezuela. It's not going to stop there either. We need to get Rotary back on track in that country. I'm traveling to DC to meet with the OAS, Organization of American States, so that we can have some partnership with Rotary and our clubs in Venezuela so we can start to address these problems. So this is what our charge is. Our charge, and we're sitting here, is to make sure that scenes like that can no longer be reported on the cover of the New York Times. That's what our job is to make it impossible for us to view such a gruesome picture as that anymore. That's what you're here to do. That's what 100 years represents. That's what 100 years of positivity represents for this community. So, Bill had a great district conference, and he had one of the things was the passports. You know, the passports you use and you go out and you go to the bars and you have fun. That's what it's about, folks, because really, Rotary doesn't happen in the rooms, in the meetings. Rotary happens in the communities, in the byways, in our streets. That's where Rotary really happens. And Rotarians make it happen by their fellowships. You know, we thought Paul Harris was lonely, but he had an idea. And that idea was, if we combine our goodwills, we will make it happen together. Last thing, I promise. I'm a Roman Catholic. Who knows the name of the Roman Catholic service?
Mass.
Mass. Where does that word come from?
Many.
Is what?
Many people.
Many people. Mass. Close and a good guess, but not correct. What? Mass comes from the word, yes. The Latin word, the last phrase of the service, it's usually in Latin, ite missa est. Missa. Missa is the same word as message or missionary. A message is something you send out. A missionary is something you send out. So that is what the last phrase of the Latin says. Ite is a command. Ite missa est. Go, you are sent. Go, folks, because church doesn't happen here in this building. Church happens when you are sent forth from here. You have been fed, you have been energized. Now get out of here. Get out of here. Ite missa est. The same thing in Rotary, folks. You are fed. We are fed very well. You are energized, you are inspired. Now go out and do Rotary. Ite missa est. That is the commission. Go and do it. God bless.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you for bringing that international flavor to our centennial celebration tonight. That truly puts it in a bigger picture of what this world is all about. So we're one part of the bigger picture. So thank you very much to Ed. That was wonderful. So thank you very, very much. We're going to continue on a little bit here, and I promise to keep it rolling. And we have, to bring us back to some greetings from around the world, we have the next segment from Neil Tompkins, all the way from Australia.
Hi everyone, from myself, Neil Tompkins. It was an honour and a privilege to be the inbound exchange student from Blackwater, Australia in January 1980. I would like to wish the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids members, both past and present, congratulations on reaching your 100th anniversary. It was quite a shock for myself coming from a small coal mining town in central Queensland, Australia, where I've never seen snow, to arrive with snow everywhere, as where I came from, it was the middle of summer with extreme temperatures. My first memorable experience was being collected at the airport by my first host mum. As we came to the first intersection, she braked and we slid right through it. I thought, great, I'm gonna die. During my exchange, I participated in everything I could, which gave me many lasting, wonderful memories and a lifetime of friendships, including maintaining special relationships with my first host family, the Oateses, their children, and now grandchildren. Also, Tom and Joey Marshall. I had the pleasure of visiting all of them several times over the years. As for me, I reside in Ireland with my wife, relocating here in 2000. Over the years, I've lived and worked in many countries worldwide. Once again, congratulations on all the great work the Rotary Club does. Bye for now.
And all the way from Italy, we have Alice Moretta.
Hi everyone, how are you? This is Alice from Italy. I'm actually smiling, but it's like the 100th time that I'm trying to do this video. First of all, happy 100th anniversary to the club. I don't know if I said it right.
100th anniversary.
That's right, that was just Google helping me with my pronunciation, and by the way, she says hi. I don't really have a best memory. Actually, the club, it's a really good memory. You have been a second family for me since the very first day. You have been a great support, and I couldn't ask for more. So thank you for your support. I don't really have a best memory, like everything, the people, the love, the green, the places, my families, of course, and the cheese. Oh God, the cheese, of course, the cheese. Right now I live in Milan, which is in the north of Italy. I'm from Sicily, but I moved here like 7 years ago, almost. I went to the university, and right now I'm working for an American communication agency that is called Edelman. Please let me know if one of you will ever come to Italy, and I'll talk to you soon, and I hope to come back soon. Bye. Have a good day, and again, happy anniversary.
And Ney Barissimo from Brazil.
Hello everybody, greetings from Brazil. My name is Ney Barissimo Jr. I was an exchange student with the Rotary Club of Wisconsin Rapids in 1981. First of all, I want to congratulate the Rotary Club in Wisconsin Rapids for the 100th anniversary. I can't believe it's already almost 40 years since I was there as an exchange student. So I want to thank you for the experience and for giving me the chance to stay with a family from Rotary, the family of Dr. Robert McGrath. The whole thing helped me become a better person, and I cherish every single moment in my heart. Cheers. Many more years to come. Many more anniversaries to the Rotary Club, and a big hug from Brazil. Thank you.
I love it. Oh, that's great. And as we roll into the 70s, we'll keep it going here, because I want to point out the first Paul Harris Fellow was awarded back in June of 1971. Hartley Barker, the son of Lee Barker, presented a $1,000 check to Rotary International Foundation on behalf of the Wisconsin Rapids Club, making Lee Barker our first Paul Harris Fellow. And if you look into your program tonight, we have a list of all the Rotarians that have received the Paul Harris Award over the years. Also, the cost of our lunch jumped way up to $3.85 back in 1977. And Frank Walsh, a member since 1920, presented the club with a new Rotary bell. And that replaces the old bell that was the lost bell that was originally purchased back in 1926. So at this point, I want to fast forward to the special segment from 40 years ago, the 60th anniversary celebration. You'll recognize a few familiar faces, starting off with Rob and Cheryl McGrath. Oops.
Our next guest, I'm not certain I can introduce this person. This is Robert McGrath. Robert McGrath is a part-time dentist, full-time school board president. And Bob, would you like to take over the microphone and introduce your wife? This is your wife.
What is this all about?
This is my lovely wife, Cheryl, and mother of my, you remember Pete?
Yeah, I know.
My 3 wonderful children. And a political advisor. And your political advisor. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, Peter.
Oh, you kids haven't changed a bit.
Hi, Michael. I know you because you have an office right across the street from our office. But I haven't met your wife before. Would you like to take the microphone and introduce your wife and say a few words? Sure.
This is my wife, Sue O'Leary.
Twin Cities. When is this going to be shown? Someday in the future. It could be 5 years, 10 years, 15 minutes. 15 minutes doesn't make any difference. Whatever we say. Well, we just moved here and we just really like this town, everything about it. We're crazy about the place. It's just exactly the kind of area we want to live in, and we're real happy with our decision to come here.
You notice when Michael speaks, he smiles, and you see that big toothy grin. You can tell he's an orthodontist. Thank you. Okay.
Tom and Joey Marshall.
Tom?
Hi, babe.
It's a pleasure to see you tonight.
Nice to be here. My wife, Joey. Hey, Smart. Joey Marshall.
Joey, it's a pleasure to meet you. Do you have anything that you'd like to say?
Go ahead, Joey. Say a few words.
It doesn't have to be terribly clever.
This is a nice building, and it's nice to have this right before Mother's Day. And I hope that we have a very nice Mother's Day, because we've been having a terrible spring.
Weather-wise, I guess.
Very bad weather. This will probably be the year to remember for the bad weather.
Thank you. We should explain that Tom is a club runner, and maybe Tom should explain to us what that means.
Well, I try to run about 5 miles every day, just trying to stay in shape because of the large Rotary luncheons that we have every Monday noon. I have to have some food in me to have to have some way to work out the calories that I eat on Monday.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Peter, I have Stanton by me here, and we'll take it from here.
Good evening, Stanton.
How do we do this?
Well, we're going right now. We're on the camera. All you have to do is look at the television set. You can see what we're doing and how we look, and say a few words.
Well, it's fun to be back with the Rotary Club, a nice party, and to see all my old friends.
Thank you very much. And to be interviewed?
John and Idly.
What is this all about?
Good evening. If you'd like to take the microphone and say a few words and introduce your wife, and maybe the two of you can sing a song.
My name is John Seward, and this is my wife, Ida Lee. We've been in Rotary together for probably 23 years.
And perhaps the only organization that he is so proud of belonging to.
You know, of course, if you're going to look at this in about another 25 years or so.
And we'll still be here.
I will still be here.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And believe me, folks, there's a lot more where that came from. We don't have time to show the whole movie tonight. But wonderful. You guys haven't changed a bit. We go to 1979. There's 1985. Let's go to 1985. Oh, first of all, 1979. This is the opening of the brand new wing, the East Tower here at the Hotel Mead in 1979. And look at all those snazzy light blue suits. That was must have been summertime photo, and really a who's who. I see Maury Matthews over on the second to the right-hand side, Filio Nash on the left-hand side, and many. Look at that guy with the beard up in the middle there, Rob McGrath. So anyway, great photo from 1979. As we go to 85, this is during Tom Marshall's year as president. Paul Gross kneeling down right in front. It was Paul's camera that we used, a nice fancy camera, Paul, that we used for that photo. And Tom and his smiley face is right there in the middle, a couple seats down from Santa Claus, better known as our friend Filio Nash. So anyway, great highlights from 1985. Also, back then, a couple of highlights. Stanton received a Paul Harris Award. The Memorial Clock and Bell Tower was presented, a program presented by Paul Gross, and our very own Jerry Feith was the architect. And the foundation started the scholarship program. We now give 4 scholarships to seniors in high school, 4 $750 scholarships. One of my favorite highlights from the 1980s was we experimented with non-smoking tables. And apparently that did hang on. But I do remember sitting in Rotary back in the 80s when John Seward would sit back, light up his pipe, and the sweet aroma of his pipe tobacco was really quite nice. And probably one of the greatest highlights of the 1980s was when women were finally introduced and and brought into Rotary International. And Susan, without a doubt, you were a trailblazer. And I tell you, Rotary has been such a much better organization because of the women that have made Rotary such a big difference in the world. Very proud to have Susan as a member of our club to this very day. As we roll right along, this is a great photo from 1993 because we have women for the first time in the photo. Starting over on the left-hand side, that's Edith Nash, Suzanne Ankenbrandt. Susan is down here to the right, little ways down, and I see Diane Gennaro, and but what a great looking crew, and about time we saw some women in the Rotary Club. So that was our first club with women in 1983. 93, thank you very much. Special Needs Scout Troops. Maury Matthews was here earlier, and Maury helped start the Special Needs Scout Troop back in 1992. And also, we hosted 2 inbound and 5 outbound students in 93, 94. Tom Marshall, that must have been a record that year.
It was.
And just phenomenal. But also, the Rotary International website was introduced back in 1996. And we had an active Internet club with Jerry Ebert and Mark Olenek, completing over 30 projects back in the 1990s. At this point, we want to give final 3 videos of former Rotary Youth Exchange people from all over the world. And we start with Pong from Thailand. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name.
Hello, my name is Pong Supasit Kushawan, former youth exchange student from Rotary Centennial, Thailand, year 1999-2000. Greetings to all members and congratulations 100th anniversary Wisconsin Rapids Rotary Club. Wow, that's a long time. Thank you to the club, and thanks to my own family. Thank you, Dr. Tom Marshall. Thank you, Smart family. Thank you, Pearson family. Thank you, Hughes Hammond family. And thank you, Allen family. I really have a wonderful time with all of you. Love and miss you. I'm now a pharmacist working at Rajshari Hospital, Thailand. If you ever have a chance, travel to Thailand and need a guide, let me know. I would love to be your guide. Once again, congratulations on 100th anniversary Wisconsin Rapids Rotary Club. And thank you.
Wonderful. Adriana Gonzalez from Mexico.
Hey, Wisconsin! Congratulations on your 100 years. I was exchange student of 2010 in the district 6250, and I love being the exchange student. I learned so many things about other people, about other cultures, about other countries, about myself. And well, right now I'm an architect. I love eco-friendly. I'm so involved in all those things. And I've traveled around the world. I've been in Asia, I've been in Europe, and I would love to keep doing it. I'm part of the Rotary Club of my city, District 4110. And I don't know, I just want to say that Rotary changed my life, and it's continue changing it right now. So thank you so much for being part of it. And I hope I can keep growing with it. Thank you, bye-bye, and congratulations.
And finally, Lovro from Croatia.
Hi guys, this is Lovro Kušplić. I was in Wisconsin Rapids new Rotary Club on the exchange in 2009-2010. First of all, I want to congratulate you all on the 100-year anniversary. Great work. I've experienced it while I was there for a year, and while I enjoyed meeting you all. Once again, I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for the wonderful year I had and for the experience you provided me with. One of my fondest memory was, Monday's lunches at the club, where I got to meet many new people each week, as well as the different students from the high school. So that was actually one of the nice memories I had, as well as obviously the 2-week end of the year East Coast trip, which I enjoyed very much. The winters too were very cool, very long, very cold, but part of the experience. At the moment I'm here in Amsterdam. I work as a fixed income sales trader, so I work in finance. I like it here so far. I'm also involved in Rotary. I was in Rotary for a while as well. So still keeping up with Rotary, and we'll keep doing so. I wish you all the best. Again, congratulations on 100th anniversary, and all the best to everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So much history, so little time.
Yeah.
Highlights. Tom Marshall completed 25 years. We raised $20,000 for Polio Plus back in 2003. Part of that money came from the Give to Share auction that was spearheaded by the Sunrise Club. Good job, guys. Richard Kenny and Jack Schaller immunized children in Egypt back in 2005. But before that, Richard and Chris Duckert had traveled to Nigeria with a group of 40 Rotarians from all over the United States to administer polio vaccine to children 5 and under in Nigeria. The following year, on behalf of the Wisconsin Rapids Rotary Clubs, Joy Marshall and her daughter Jen traveled to India with 65 volunteers from the United States and Canada to partake in India's National Immunization Day, administering polio vaccines to children in India. And once again, the highlight of 2009 was our district conference held right here at the Hotel Meade by District Governor Tom Marshall. Good memories. And one of the most successful programs in recent memory has been our Rotary Ramps program, spearheaded by Al Bardole with the help of the Central Wisconsin Home Builders Association and the Wood County Department of Aging. We have constructed approximately 14 ramps in the Wisconsin Rapids area since 2012. That averages out to about 2 ramps per year, and we're still going strong. So we hope to build many, many more of our Rotary ramps. And as we move on to a club photo from 2011, I just love this photo. And we're outside on a beautiful spring day, and we look at that picture. Paul Gross is in there, Jack Schaller, Maury Matthews, Bob Zimmerman, Mike Mayer. The list goes on, and that was just a few years ago. And also during that same time of year, Chris Duckert served as a district governor for 2010-11. Tom Marshall was awarded the Service Above Self Award, which is the highest award given to a Rotarian at that particular district conference. The international president was there, and Tom received that very distinct honor. Linda Mewes-Hammond served as president back-to-back. Roy Engelhardt, our greeter extraordinaire, was recognized for 20 years as a greeter. J.R. Seward returned safely after the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013. And we had Bob Zimmerman Recognition Day in 2015. And also in 2016, we developed a partnership with the Sunrise Club on Rotary Youth Exchange, which we hope to rekindle here in the very near future. But that, my folks, is 100 years of service in the Wisconsin Rapids area. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your patience. We are just so happy that we have such a proud history to look back on and a very promising future ahead of us. Thanks to all of you, we can make our club better, we can make our community better, and together we can make it happen. So once again, thank you all for being here tonight, and we look forward to seeing more of you in the very, very near future. So 100 years of service. Wisconsin Rapids Noon Rotary. Let's hear it for Nicole.